to 9-8 runs required. Stopped by Harvey. It's high in the air. That's the first boundary for Kirsten. 294 runs required. It's straight at Bevan. Oh, that must be close.
That was a terrible call. There was never a run there.
So then, that's the end of Gibbs. Cullis takes his place at the crease. .49 overs are left in the innings. The required run rate has crept up to around 5.5 and over. Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. I think he was easily back in the crease there. Stopped by Bevan. Short and smash for 4. That was a fantastic back foot shot.
That was a good shot. He saw it early and got into position quickly.
So they need 290 to win from 289 balls. 48 overs are left for South Africa. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Hit straight at Hayden. McGrath at the start of his run-up. That's the first runs of the day for Cullis. McGrath to bowl to Kirsten. South Africa move on to 9. McGrath to bowl to Kirsten. A very good over. Only one offered in the end.
South Africa will be looking to blast away from the start with fielding restrictions in place.
Lee to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Kirsten waiting at the striker's end. Lee to Kirsten. .46 overs are left for South Africa. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Stopped by Lee. The score is now 1 for 10. McGrath at the start of his run-up. One for 11. That's the end of the 5th over. Lee to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Lee continues. .287 runs required. Lee to bowl to Cullis. Cullis waiting at the striker's end.
South Africa are falling behind the run rate, so they need to attack more.
Kirsten facing. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. It's in the air. Kirsten moves into double figures with those runs. They have 44 overs to get to 83. South Africa are 1 for 15. McGrath at the start of his run-up. McGrath continues.
South Africa need to score at a faster rate, or they'll be putting pressure on themselves later on.
Lee to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. They have 43 overs to get to 8-3. That's a big appeal. The umpire raised his finger and he's out. Hollis makes his way back to the dressing room. Cullinan facing his first ball. Cullinan is off the mark. Kirsten is now on strike. A very good over. Only one offered in the end.
South Africa should be looking to attack a little more here, or they could be struggling to reach the total required.
McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. McGrath is back in the attack. Oh, big shout for that one. No response from the umpire. A tricky decision, but the umpire says not out. He's going to have to move here. Oh, that must be close.
That was a terrible call. There was never a run there.
The new batsman won't have to face just yet. Oh, big shout for that one. He's out. Cullinan goes for only one.
He'll probably have a close look at the replay of that when he gets back to the pavilion.
Klusner is the next batsman in. Klusner takes his place at the crease. It's in the air. That's the first boundary for Klusner. That's gone high in the air. Really struck that well.
He picked his spot well there, a glorious boundary.
That over eased the pressure on the batting team. Now the run rate stands at just over 6.5 and over. confident appeal, and the umpire's given it. So then, that's the end of Rhodes. Pollock is off the mark. The third umpire's been called for. Klusner waiting at the striker's end. That had 4 written all over it. Lee to Klusner. That's the end of the 10th over.
If they don't up the tempo soon, they'll be struggling to win this one.
McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. Stopped by Lehman. That's gone high in the air. Lehman had a lot of ground to cover there.
Well held. It must have stung his hands coming down from that height.
Pollock goes for only one. Boucher awaits his first ball. Boucher is off the mark. Fielded by Simons. Stopped by Martin.
Waiting!
39 overs are left for South Africa. Klusner waiting at the striker's end. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. Well, that's speeding to the boundary. That takes him into double figures. South Africa have taken their total on to 6 for 32. Lee continues. It's high in the air. Lee is not impressed.
Well, that was short and just asked to be hit.
Lee at the start of his run-up. For all the way. Klusner has now moved into the 20s. Hit straight at Warren. 12 runs came from that over for South Africa. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is around 6.5 and over. Superb shot. That's the first boundary for Boucher. McGrath continues. fielder will cut that off. McGrath at the start of his run-up. That's straight up in the air. He smashed that a long way.
That was a super shot. I really didn't think it was too bad a ball.
37 overs are left for South Africa. We're about to see the first bowling change. The run rate stands at just under 6.5 and over. Boucher waiting at the striker's end. Hit straight to a fielder. Martin to Boucher. Oh, that's a really superb shot. That takes him into double figures. Super wicket keeping. It's in the air. That was a really confident shot.
He played that shot perfect.
.36 overs are left in the innings. McGrath to begin a new over. The run rate stands at just under 6.5 and over. That's straight up in the air. McGrath is not impressed.
Well, if you're going to pitch that short, you'll get punished.
There it goes. That was 6 all the way.
Great strike. It looked like 6 the moment he struck it.
South Africa move on to 72. It's straight at Warren. The required run rate is around 6 and over. Well, that's going to reach the boundary. The partnership for the 7th wicket is now 50. South Africa 6 for 76. Martin is back in the attack. Martin at the start of his run-up. The total is now 6 for 77. Martin continues. Martin at the start of his run-up. He's smacked that over the top and been rewarded with 4. Boucher has now moved into the 20s. 34 overs are left in the innings. McGrath to begin a new over. The required run rate is around 6 and over. He smashed that away. He really plays those shots off the back foot quite brilliantly.
Poor bowling. His captain won't be too happy with him after that delivery.
McGrath at the start of his run-up. He's gone over the top with that, and it looks like 4 runs. Really looks in fine nick today.
Well, that one showed us the full maker's name. A beautiful straight drive.
Eight runs were picked up from that over by McGrath. Martin to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 6 and over. Martin to Boucher. Steered expertly into the gap. The batsman will have to run these. Boucher waiting at the striker's end. The batsman will have to run these. It's straight at Lee.
Run.
32 overs are left in the innings. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. That's too full and it's been punished. That square drive was hit with some power.
He played that shot perfectly.
He looks very happy out there. There's his half century. There it goes. Picked up very early by Klusener.
That came right out of the meat. Excellent shot.
Six now for 102. Great shot by Klusener. That clattered into the boards.
Well, that was much too short from the bowler. 4 runs.
31 overs are left in the innings. The run rate stands at just under 6 and over. There it goes. Klusner facing. Martin to bowl to Klusner. Hit straight at Lehman. That's straight up in the air. That was sheer power.
The bowler won't like that one little bit.
That's the end of the 20th over. There's a change in the bowling with the off-spin of Simons. The required run rate is around 6 and over. Ponting is not going to reach that. Super shot by Boucher.
That was a gift for the batsman.
The fielder will cut that off. Ponting reaches it before it crosses the boundary. Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. The fielder will cut that off. Hit straight to a fielder. I think he was easily back in the crease there. Boucher is now on strike. "29 overs are left in the innings. The required run rate is around 6 and over. Played into the gap. Klusner is now facing. Boucher facing. The batsman will have to run these. He looked as if he was home to me. So they need 171 to win from 171 balls. Klusner facing. Super wicket keeping. It's high in the air. He picked the length quickly with that one.
That came right out of the meat. Excellent shot.
Martin to bowl to Klusner. That over eased the pressure on the batting team. The bowling figures for Martin are 5 overs, no wicket for 40. Simons to begin a new over. The required run rate is around 5.5 and over. They have 28 overs to get, 166. There it goes. That easily cleared the boundary.
The bowler won't like that one little bit.
That's a beautiful shot. Boucher really takes advantage of anything over-pitched.
That was good batting. He picked his spot, didn't try to smash it, just stroked it through the gap.
Simons continues. .27 overs are left for South Africa. The run rate stands at just under 5.5 and over. So they need 156 to win from 160 balls. It's in the air. That really was a super stroke.
That was a perfect straight drive, met with an absolutely straight bat. Demoralising for the bowler.
Martin to bowl to Klusener. .26 overs are left for South Africa. Simons to bowl to Klusener. The required run rate has crept up to around 5.5 and over. Played into the gap. Ponting sprinting along the boundary. Steered expertly into the gap. The batsmen are after 2. Klusener facing. Steered expertly into the gap. He's worked that into the gap. The batsmen are coming back for a second. Klusener is now facing. He's got it into the gap. Simons to bowl to Boucher. That must be close. The umpire turned that one down, but it did look very close. Oh, I felt that that wasn't out. That's the halfway mark. 25 overs. Klusener facing. Now the run rate stands at just over 5.5 and over. He's gone over the top with that, and it looks like 4 runs. Hit down the ground beautifully by Klusener.
That was a good shot. He saw it early and got into position quickly.
Played into the gap. Boucher waiting at the striker's end. Martin at the start of his run-up. Martin continues. The batsman will have to run these. "24 overs are left for South Africa. The required run rate is around 5.5 and over." Well, that's found the gap in the field. Klusner waiting at the striker's end. Play it away with comfort. Ponting out there in the deep. The batsman will have to run these. Klusner moves into the 90s. 23 overs are left for South Africa. We're about to have a change of bowling with the leg spin of Warne. Now the run rate stands at just over 5.5 and over. That's rolling towards the fence. It should be 4 runs. He picked the length quickly with that one.
For all the kids watching out there, that is a perfect example of how to play the shot.
Well, that'll certainly beat the fielder into the fence. That was a shot straight out of the coaching manual.
He played that shot to perfection.
Klusner is now facing. Will just beat the fielder to the rope. Crowd are standing and applauding. That's a great moment for him. That's a century for Klusner. The batsman will have to run these. He's got onto that one. He looks very happy out there. That's 50 for Boucher.
He's batted very well. Good concentration and technique.
"22 overs are left for South Africa. Simons to bowl to Klusner. The required run rate is around 5 and over. Played into the gap. Klusner waiting at the striker's end. Stopped by McGrath. A very good over. Only 2 off it in the end. Boucher is now on strike. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. He's worked that into the gap. Fielded by Hayden. The fielder will cut that off. Warren to bowl to Boucher. Stopped by Hayden. Warren to bowl to Boucher. Played into the gap. Hayden sprinting along the boundary. Boucher facing. The batsmen are looking for 2. He looked as if he was home to me. That's the end of the 30th over. There's a change in the bowling for Australia. The run rate stands at just under 5 and over. There it goes. Oh, that really was a super stroke.
There's a perfect example of how to play that shot. He deserved 4 runs for it.
Well taken.
That was moving pretty quickly and he did well to cling onto it.
Klusner is finally out for 111. Everyone is standing to applaud him off the field.
That was a vital wicket and now the tail is exposed.
The next batsman in is a right-handed Kemp. Kemp is off the mark. He's got that away for what looks like 4 runs. He placed that superbly.
Fantastic shot there. He knew it was 4 as soon as he struck it.
Well taken by Gilchrist. 9 runs came from that over for South Africa. Warren to begin a new over. The run rate stands at just under 5 and over. Great shot by Kemp. That's the first boundary for Kemp. The batsman will have to run these. Play it away with comfort. Harvey to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 5 and over. There it goes. That looked like 4 all the way. It's a mix-up with the batsman. didn't quite get hold of that one properly. Picked up by Ponting. The batsmen are coming back for 3. There's a mix-up with the batsman. Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. Played into the gap. Kemp facing. The required run rate is around 5 and over. That's run away and could well go for 4. Picked up very early by Boucher.
He gave the batsman too much room there. 4 runs.
Warren continues. That's 4 more. He watched that onto the bat perfectly.
That was a nicely timed shot. You don't need to smash the ball to the boundary every time.
So there was 8 off that over. Harvey to bowl to Kemp. The run rate stands at just under 4.5 and over. Stopped by Ponting. Played into the gap. Kemp moves into double figures with those runs. Boucher is now facing. Well, that's delicately played. Ponting sprinting along the boundary. That's the end of the 35th over. Warren to bowl his leg spin. The required run rate has crept up to around 4.5 and over. He's got that away for what looks like 4 runs. Really looks in fine nick today.
Poor bowling. His captain won't be too happy with him after that delivery.
Warren at the start of his run-up. Warren continues. Warren continues. That's racing away to the boundary. He watched that onto the bat perfectly.
Great shot. That seemed to rocket to the boundary.
14 overs are left for South Africa. The required run rate is around 4.5 and over. I think he was easily back in the crease there. He's really given that a whack. 6 runs. That went a long way back into the stands.
Exciting stuff. He took a risk, but was well rewarded as the ball disappeared over the fence.
Not timed perfectly, but they got some runs anyway. That's gone high in the air. Hardly seemed to hit that, yet it sailed over the ropes.
The bowler can't believe it, but it is out of the ground. 6 runs.
Stopped by 11. 13 overs are left in the innings. There's a change in the bowling for Australia. The run rate stands at just under 4 and over. There should be some runs here. Martin at the start of his run-up. Stopped by Ponting. Martin at the start of his run-up. Martin at the start of his run-up. That's gone high in the air. Hardly seemed to hit that, yet it sailed over the ropes.
Exciting stuff. He took a risk, but was well rewarded as the ball disappeared over the fence.
South Africa, 7 for required 2. Boucher is now facing. The run rate stands at just under 3.5 and over. Oh, that is an excellent shot by Boucher. Really looks in fine nick today.
He dispatched that for 4 with great confidence.
Harvey to bowl to Boucher. A cracking stroke. Boucher has taken his score into the 90s. Harvey at the start of his run-up. There it goes. That's found the gap in the field. "11 overs are left for South Africa. Martin to begin a new over. The run rate stands at just under 3 and over. The batsman didn't look at all comfortable there.
That's a good line to bowl on this pitch. Keep the batsman playing at it.
Martin to Boucher. Steered expertly into the gap. It's in the air. That was a really confident shot.
What a good placement. No one at home, over the top for 4.
Kemp is now facing. It's in the air. Martin only overpitched very slightly, but it was punished.
Well, he smashed that for 4 with a big smile on his face.
That's the end of the 40th over. There's a change in the bowling with the off-spin of Simons. The required run rate looks a fairly comfortable 2.5 and over. It's high in the air. Kemp waiting at the striker's end. He's worked that into the gap. Boucher waiting at the striker's end. Four. That was a nice bit of timing.
He really needs to concentrate on line and length right now to keep the runs down.
Simons at the start of his run-up. There it goes, and he's got away with it. There it goes. Martin at the start of his run-up. The required run rate looks a fairly comfortable 2 and over. That's straight up in the air. There it goes. Bevan is underneath it and takes it comfortably.
That was moving pretty quickly and he did well to cling onto it.
Kemp eventually goes for 40. Donald is now facing. Super wicket keeping. Martin at the start of his run-up. Super wicket keeping. Done him. Donald was completely beaten by that one.
Well, it's a case of knowing when to leave. He didn't.
So then, that's the end of Donald. The new batsmen won't face for the time being. The required run rate looks a fairly comfortable 1.5 and over. Play it away with comfort. The crowd are giving him an excellent round of applause. Boucher reached his century of 94 balls. The sweeper picks up. That's over the rope. 6 runs off Simons. That was 6 all the way.
The bowler doesn't look too happy about it. There might be a little bit more in the next one.
It's straight to a fielder. That's straight up in the air. He found the gap with precision.
Cracking shot. The secret there was that he got his feet into position early and had plenty of time to play the shot.
Simons to Boucher. Runs were picked up from that over by Simons. These are the bowling figures. The bowling figures for Simons are 7 overs, no wicket for 53. Australia are making a change in the bowling. The required run rate looks a fairly comfortable 1 and over. That's run away and could well go for 4. That's the first boundary for Adams. So to sum up then, South Africa win by 1 wicket.